What's going on, everybody? This is Brian here with Texas Gun Experience, and this video is going to be on the new Sig P365 X Macro. Now, before we get into the gun, I kind of want to discuss, the reasoning behind what we carry every day. So, if you're carrying a firearm, the idea is it's going to be for self-protection or to possibly use that firearm to defend yourself or someone else. And when we look at firearms to carry, the themes have always been very compact, very discreet. Then the other school of thought is, hey, if I'm going to go to war, if I'm going to get in a gunfight, I want a lot of rounds. So in the last few years, Sig has kind of been the vanguard of creating these very ultra compact firearms that have fit a lot of rounds in them, kind of creating this new micro compact war, creating a whole slew of new firearms. So the X Macro has really kind of set the bar again as far as a subcompact firearm that is both easy to conceal but also carry a ton of rounds. So I've been carrying firearms for about 15 years now, and I've gone all over the place. So I used to really want something that's really small, that is just completely disappears underneath a t-shirt. And then I went to bigger guns. I carried 2011s for a long time, because I wanted more rounds and I wanted something that I could shoot fast, shoot flat, and I could go to war with. But with the new introduction of some of these new Sig pistols, I've really kind of changed my mind again to where, hey, why not have your cake and eat it too? Get the best of both worlds. So introducing the X Macro. Now, this isn't really that far off from a new gun. Sig's been making the 365 for a couple years now, and they've kind of had several different versions. But the X Macro is the first time where they've introduced a 17 round mag capacity and a integrated compensated slide barrel combo. So normally go front to back, but I really want to talk about the back of this gun and then leave the kind of the best feature, the compensator, for last. So the X Macro has really changed concealed carry, or maybe even just duty, with capacity. Do not know what kind of black magic they put into these guns, but they are able to fit 17 rounds into the magazine of this firearm. So now you have a 17 plus 1 round capacity, and that is quite a bit. The original P365 and like the Hellcats and all these were racing to get above 10 rounds, so that 12, 13 rounds was kind of the standard. Now I have 17 plus 1, so an extra 5 rounds in a very compact package. The grip on this is a bit longer than the standard P365, but it actually fits really well in the palm of the hand. So I can get a full grip purchase on this, making it feel more like a full-size handgun. However, I don't have a whole lot sticking out of the bottom. So I have 17 rounds in there. The stippling on this is quite nice. So it's the standard as any of their other 365 stippling, but two big things to really note on the backside of this gun is they now have adjustable back straps. So there's a little bit of a swell here, but you can add more of a palm swell. And that's really important for the feel of the gun. Now, these are very thin. So typically when you have those really thin guns, you can have too much grip of it, which could cause accuracy issues or just grip issues. But having a palm swell there really allows you to kind of adjust that for your hand size and hand feel. So that is a nice feature. The other is they have this kind of overly exaggerated beaver tail here, so you can get a really high purchase on the firearm, not have to worry about any slide bite, but really get, again, that good high pistol grip on that firearm. So the trigger on this, they did go with that flat face trigger. Doesn't change anything as far as the pull weights or anything like that goes. These clock in right around 4.5 pounds. But that flat facing trigger is nice, that no matter where you put your finger on it, you're gonna get a constant feel and pull, but you can also change the leverage a bit too, to where the lower your finger goes, the more leverage you have on that trigger. Trigger's nothing really to write home about. It's a kind of a standard striker fire trigger, a little mushy. There's a little bit of take up here, so we'll kind of ghost the trigger for you. So a little bit of take up, some creep, and then a break. There's also no real, definitive reset. So there is a strong click, but it doesn't really push your finger forward. Now, the trigger is actually good for a carry trigger, and there's really no problem getting accurate fast rounds with it. but it definitely is not a competition style trigger. The next thing to note, which really makes this different from the 365 series, is the dust cover or the accessory rail down here on the bottom. Now, typically Sig has kind of their proprietary rail down there, but this is a 1913 rail, so that means you can accept a lot more aftermarket lights, lasers, and accessories. So like this, we have the TLR 7 sub, but really any 1913 mounted option will fit on there, introducing you to a whole new world of accessories. So that's definitely a nice feature compared to the prior 365s. X Macro does come with the Sig X-ray sights. Pretty much it's a blacked out rear and that big green dot front sight, but they are tritium. So tritium, does give you that night sight option if you're looking to do it. The optic on this, now these do come optic cut and optic ready. That is their ROMEOZero footprint, which is the same as the Trijicon RMRC, the Shield arms, or like this is the Holosun 507K. So having a nice compact dot on the pistol without having to add any extra plates or anything like that is a really nice kind of out of the box feature. The slide does have serrations on the back and front here, making it easy to purchase, and they kind of have that new kind of slide cuts on them as well, going along with their new X series of handguns. But the big feature is, of course, the compensator. So what do compensators do and why do we have them? So having these slide cutouts here is a little different than how a lot of guns use a compensator. So the length of this is just over 3 inches on the barrel, but as you see, it's just a regular, like a 365 barrel. A lot of guns have compensators that thread onto a longer threaded barrel that's somehow pinned or retained in place. Or other options are some firearms have a cut in the barrel and a matching cut in the slide. So this kind of does neither. This keeps all of that porting right on the slide. So first, what do ports do? Now when the firearm goes off, bang, the bullet travels down the barrel and the gases follow. Usually the gases will escape to the path of least resistance. So typically on a normal gun, that's right at the end of the barrel. On a gun that's compensated, you're gonna have all that gas flowing right out the top. So that's gonna do two things. One, when the gun goes bang, traditionally they kind of push up and back. Gases are gonna push up, helping keep that muzzle down. And also it's gonna hit the front of those kind of walls there, keeping it from wanting to go back as well. So it kind of helps twofold in a compensating and almost as a brake. The reason why they put it on the slide and not the barrel. So typically when you put a compensator on the end of a barrel, those need to be kind of tuned with ammo. They don't always work with every ammo type. The typical rule of thumb, and it works in practice, is the hotter the round, so the more energy behind the round, the more gas is expelled, typically the better the compensators work and the more you'll actually feel a reduce in that muzzle rise. More gases means more, that's pushing that, firearm down. So you can typically run hotter loads, but with the compensator on the end of a barrel, sometimes you need to change spring weights or, run a different grain or ammunition type to get those to work not just properly, but reliably. You don't have to worry about that with these slide cuts with the port being these slide cuts here. So you can really run any ammo type and not have to worry about reliability of the firearm. So whether you're carrying this for concealed carry or as a kind of a smaller duty weapon, you don't have to worry about that reliability, which is a big feature. Now, that being said, do compensators work? Yes, we have plenty of videos, through Texas Gun Experience showing that they do. And you'll see more and more firearms are coming out with compensators on them from the factory because they work. So this one's no different. We actually have a side-by-side comparison where we shoot a standard 365 and then the 365 X Macro, and it is a both noticeably felt and observed difference in the recoil. Shooting the X Macro specifically too, we noticed that there's a very short reset on it. So you're able to get double taps and really fast rates of fire really quickly, accurately, and comfortably. So the dot on this thing, because we shoot with the red dot, it doesn't really bounce all over the target. It makes this really a fast gun to shoot. Not a competition gun, but it really feels like you just want to step on the gas pedal and pull that trigger as fast as you can. For use, now I don't think this would be a duty gun. There are other options out there that you can maybe be more modular, add more accessories to, a little bit bigger. However, as far as a carry gun goes, I 100% would carry this firearm. Going back to the magazines, we even have a comparison of a couple different. So sitting next to a Glock 17 round magazine, a Staccato or a 2011 double stack magazine that's also 17 rounds, the 365 mag is considerably smaller. So again, whatever type of voodoo they do to get all those rounds in it, it definitely works. The one thing I'll say is getting the last couple rounds in that magazine is definitely tough. If you have a mag loader, it'll help, or just work on that thumb strength. Because getting all those rounds squeezed in there, someone used the clown car term. It's definitely that. You're putting a lot of rounds in a small magazine, but it holds them quite well. So you do that and you have a spare mags on you, that's what, 35 rounds of ammo on you, and that's a lot of firepower. So one of the other things to think about too is the size of this. So there may be some people that are worried about overall size with both the slide and the grip. Now the grip, again, it is a kind of more of a full length grip here. I wear a medium glove and this fits my hand perfect. So it allows me to get a good purchase on the grip with both my firing and support hand without feeling like I'm slipping off or I have a pinky off or anything like that. It still conceals and carries just fine. This dimensionally is almost the same as like a Glock 48, which is one of the most popular concealed handguns out there. So given that it's a very thin package and it's still very kind of petite in both length and height, concealed carry is no issue with this. We also have a comparison where we show you right here next to a Glock 48, and then also a very popular, the Glock 19 is kind of the standard, all-purpose firearm. This is still substantially thinner, and it's about the same grip length as the Glock 19. And we show you here too, there's the 17 round magazine in it. We're getting more rounds out of a smaller package, really making this kind of an ideal carry platform. One of the other things too about the slide that I noticed is the spring weight on this. Now the thing, and I'll talk about it too and how it shoots, it's a soft shooter, but the recoil spring on this, it is heavier. So if you have grip strength or if you have trouble racking slides, this one may be a little tighter for you. Luckily, if you have a red dot here, it's easier to get some leverage, but racking that slide back and forth, it is heavier. So what do they do that to also help mitigate some of that recoil? It's just a good thing to note. Firing it, it's actually really soft shooting. So it has a shorter barrel, and this thing right now is zeroed in at about 15 meters. Taking shots out further than that or closer, really no issue. The gun's fairly accurate. It's not a target pistol. Again, it's not a race gun, but as far as a defensive gun, no problem. Now, ammunition types, because it is a shorter barrel, it may, change how you look and what carrying ammo you carry. Either get a really fast, screaming bullet, like a Lehigh Defense, or Sig actually makes ammunition that's optimized for this firearm itself. So they have their CCW ammo that is optimized for a 3.1 inch barrel. The whole idea is the shorter the barrel, not as much velocity you're getting. So typically you want to go up on grain weight, things like that. Sig's already got it figured out for you and has a perfect ammo to match. But reliably, you can run really anything through this and you're gonna function and cycle this thing well and reliably. As far as overall, impressions of it, haven't ever owned a Sig, but this is definitely one I think I would purchase with my own money and carry every day because it shoots flat, it holds a ton of rounds, and it actually hides really well. Drawing from the holster is no problem. I think they really did well with the X Macro, but most importantly, just like the 365, I think this gun's gonna continue to push the market into, hey, we need, you know, better sized firearms that hold more rounds and have more features. So it's really cool to see things that are optics ready, that have built-in compensators, and that can hold a ton of rounds, you know, coming out. So it's kind of a little bit of everything thrown into one, and I really appreciate that from the X Macro. We have these in store or available already. If you want to come in and test one compared to a normal 365 or maybe a Hellcat, I think you'll really notice and feel the difference. But yeah, man, let us know what you think of the new gun. You know, would you carry it? Would you, you know, the price tag on these are anywhere between $800 and $900. You know, is it worth that spend to you? But let us know down in the comments. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you guys on the range.